Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody because yesterday Ghosts of Atlantis released a new track, and since I've covered pretty much everything they've released since the first track from 3624326 from their first album. I've covered pretty much everything, I think. So, naturally, of course, I'm going to look at their new track. Now, we checked out their previous track, which was Lands of Winter, I think it was called. Be quiet. It was called Lands of Winter or something along that line. And that story was talking about the Atlanteans from the first album, setting out into an icy tundra in search of a banished tyrant king. Now, the track they just released is called Lycaon King. Lycaon King? So is this perhaps the banished ruler that they were looking for? I don't know. Now, Lycaon King is actually a ancient Greek mythological story. So I did a little bit of reading up about it. As it says, in Greek mythology, Lycaon was king of Arcadia, who, in the most popular version of the myth, killed and cooked his own son, Nyctimus, and served him to Zeus to see whether or not the god was sufficiently all-knowing to recognize human flesh. Disgusted by this, Zeus transformed Lycaon into a wolf and killed his offspring. Nyctimus was then restored to life. So, Lycaon, this horrendously horrible king, was transformed into a wolf, which could well be the origin of the word lycanthrope or lycanthropy. The word lycanthropy originates from the Greek word lycanthropos, meaning wolfman, and then that got modernized into modern Latin, which was lycanthropus, and then sort of evolved into lycanthropy in the English language, and then lycanthrope, which generally means pretty much another word for werewolf, although I do believe lycanthropes and werewolves are actually different in some respects, but I don't know exactly how. Anyway, despite being notorious for his horrific deeds, Lycaon was also remembered as a cultural hero. He was believed to have founded the city of Lycosura, to have established the cult of Zeus Lycaeus, and to have started the tradition of the Lycaean Games, which Pausanians believe were older than the Panathenaic Games. According to Gaius Julius Hyginus, Lycaon dedicated the first temple to Hermes of Cyllene. There you go. So, whilst he did some horrible things, he apparently did quite a few notable things as well. But, he murdered his own son and fed him to Zeus just to see if God would know that, if Zeus would know the difference between human flesh and animal flesh. It's a bit of a risky move to take. It doesn't seem very, very smart. Now, I have watched the video. I haven't actually listened to it. I put it on mute because it's a lyric video, but it's a very cleverly done lyric video, I might add. But I watched the video, typed out all the lyrics, so I've got the lyrics here directly from the video. I will point out there are actually a couple of... I believe there's a couple of mistakes in the way that the lyrics are written on screen. But anyway, the video itself is actually very, very clever. I didn't actually pay much attention to the overall video itself because I was too busy looking for the lyrics. So I've seen it, but I've not heard it. So anyway, I'm waffling now. We'll jump into this. I'm really looking forward to it because I've loved everything they've done so far. So we'll jump into this track and see what we've got. So this is Lycaon King by Ghosts of Atlantis. Let's have a look. Oh, yes. So there we go. The Lycaon King by Ghosts of Atlantis. And as expected, another absolutely fantastic piece of music. Now, did you spot the two mistakes in the lyrics in the video? No? I'll point them out later. Anyway, so like I said at the beginning of the video, I absolutely love the way that this video was done. You know, it's got that sort of comic book style, and the way they've actually put the lyrics into those sort of boxes that you'd normally see in comics that would like describe someone's thoughts or feelings. The way they've actually put this video together, the thought that's been put into it, is absolutely fantastic. It's really, really good. I really like it. It's one of the more unique videos I've seen for a while, you know, because for a little while, you know, there was like the Cellar Darling videos where they were all done in this sort of almost sort of cartoony cut-out paper sort of thing. You know, there was a big sort of fad of those at one point. But this is something completely different, and I don't think I've ever seen a video done quite like this before. I may have done, but it wasn't very memorable, if that's a fact. But, you know, a brilliant piece of music. Not as many of the clean vocals in this one. There was some, obviously. And there was a slight... I think it was a new element of vocal put in there where there was sort of quietly spoken vocals with a sort of creak in the voice, you know, sort of speaking like that sort of thing. And I don't think we've seen that in any of their music before. Not that I can remember. I could be mistaken. But yeah, I mean, this pretty much encompasses the story that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, although there are some elements to it which I wouldn't say are slightly different, but they might be a different angle. Like I said, there's what I read was the most popular version of the myth, so there might be other versions. You know, there might be slight details that have slightly changed from, you know, version to version. So we'll get to that when we get to it. So, like I said, the lyrics were on screen, but we'll talk about them anyway, because that's my thing. It goes, on an altar lays a child pure of soul, a feast for the gods' intent, sacrificed for the wicked to present to Zeus the gift of flesh. This heart it fills with rage, a compassion once renowned from the memories of a bygone age. This act can't be ignored, his cursed for all to see, the king's a wolf. So those first, 8 or 9 lines pretty much tells the entire story. You know, on an altar lays a child pure of soul, a feast for the gods' intent. So this is, you know, the moment where Lycaon's gone, right, I'm gonna kill my child. I'm gonna cook it, and I'm gonna feed him to Zeus. It says, sacrificed for the wicked to present to Zeus with the gift of flesh. Because, you know, obviously in certain cultures, you know, they used to sacrifice animals as offerings to gods and stuff like that. So he's going, right, this god, you know, normally wants like a couple of cows, a couple of pigs, or what have you. Will he know the difference if I give him the flesh of a person? You know? And it says, this heart it fills with rage, a compassion once renowned. So, you know, being fed the flesh of a human, you know, this really pissed Zeus off. You know, he used to have like compassion and love for Lycaon, I'm guessing. You know, he used to have a love and compassion for the people at that point. But the fact that Lycaon's turned around and gone, here, eat my son, do you know who it is? You know, Zeus is pissed, and you know, I would be too. You know, it's like, oh, I fancy something nice for dinner. What's this? Oh, this is my son. I'm sorry, what? You know. So, you know, it says this act cannot be ignored. So Zeus is like, right, this is crossing the line. You know, you've gone too far. You done fucked up. You're going to get cursed, bitch. So he says his curse for all to see, the king's a wolf. So Zeus turns him into this wolf man. And it goes into the chorus there. At the dusk of the setting sun, crimson skies now fall. A curse of the moon that is full, where shadows lurk no more. Arcadia beckons them all, now they bow to none. A new beast of the night has been born at the dusk of the setting sun. Excuse me. So, you know, that's basically like, you know, as soon as the sun goes down, as soon as the full moon comes out, you're a wolf, buddy. You know. That's basically what the chorus is saying, you know. It's like, as soon as the sun sets, as soon as the moon comes out, you know, You ain't you anymore, bitch. Carries on. Lycaon runs into the night, far away from the sight of Zeus. Fell urges to feed upon the flesh. There's a new hunger in the luminance. Now, it was here that was one of the first mistakes in the video. Because where the lyrics came up, it says, Feral urges to feed upon the flesh. Now, in the actual video, it says, Feral urges to feed upon the on-flesh. But anyway, so Lycaon runs into the night far away from the sights of Zeus. So he's like, okay, I done fucked up. He's pissed. So he's like trying to run as far as he can, you know, so that Zeus can't mess with him anymore. But, you know, Zeus is supposed to be omnipotent and all-seeing, so how he expects to run away from the sight of Zeus, who knows? But then he says, you know, feral urges to feed upon the flesh. There's a new hunger in the luminance. So as soon as the moon comes out, he's got a new hunger. You know, he now yearns to eat the flesh of humans, what have you, you know. You make me eat the flesh of a human, bitch, you're going to eat the flesh of humans. You know, see how much you like it. And it says here, his sons are the first for him to taste, a deception of the nation and the people he has played, a dire lesson for a king to consume the flesh of his own king, unknowingly his lust begins. Now this is where it slightly varies from what I read before. So, it says in the version that I read, Zeus transformed Lycaon into a wolf and killed his offspring. So that gives the impression that Zeus went, right, bitch, you're a wolf now, and I'm going to kill all your... I'm going to kill your family, I'm going to kill your kids, you know, I'm going to destroy your entire family line, except for, what's his name, Nyctimus, who I'm going to bring back to life, you know, because what you did to him was beyond contemptible. So, you know, in the version I read, Zeus killed his family, but in this version, it suggests that King Lycaon actually ate his own children, or ate his own family. You know, it says here, his sons are the first for him to taste. So this is suggesting that Lycaon was forced, you know, his lust for flesh made him eat his own sons. You know, consuming the flesh of his own kin unknowingly his lust begins, you know. So, like I said, there might be variations of this myth throughout the ages. So, you know, one might say that Zeus killed his family. This one here suggests that Lycaon killed his own family against his will, you know, because I'm guessing that once he turns into a wolf, his mind is quite different from, you know, there's possibly a disassociation, excuse me, between him and in his human form and his wolf form. So, yeah, Zeus was pretty mad. Then it goes back into that chorus. At the dusk of the setting sun, crimson skies now fall. A curse of the moon that is full, where shadows lurk no more. Arcadia beckons them all. Now they bow to none. A new beast at the night has been born. Of the night has been born at the dusk of the setting sun. And then it goes into that bit, like I said before, where the lyrics were sort of spoken quite quietly and with a slight croak to the actual sound of the... and all it is, it's sort of repeating parts of the chorus. It says, now Arcadia beckons them all at the dusk of the setting sun. A new beast of the night has been born at the dusk of the setting sun. And there comes the second mistake in the video, because they actually said on screen at the dusk of the setting sun. And it carried on again, still with those sort of spoken, slightly croaked vocals, saying, now Arcadia beckons them all at the dusk of the setting sun. A new beast of the night has been born. In the cold, they lay the kin out for him to feast. A bloodlust born of the night's full moon, his hunger now ravishing. Sacrificial rituals by the people once repressed by tyranny, fueled by retribution for the vile abomination of his reign, sacrificing those linked to his ancestry. So again, this again slightly changes what I read before, because it's now suggesting here that his subjects of his kingdom are putting his sons out for him to eat. They're sacrificing his own children to him to see how much he likes it, because, you know, sacrificial rituals by people once repressed by tyranny. So, you know, there's a suggestion here that he wasn't a very nice king to begin with, you know, even though, you know, it suggested that he built these temples and stuff like that, it suggested that he was quite a tyrannical king. So they're going, right, Since you were so mean to us, we're going to feed you your children. So it's not so much that he went out, sought out his children to eat them. His children were given to him as an offering, as a sacrifice, sort of like, right, you were horrible to us, we're going to make you eat your children. That's what it seems to suggest. You know, fueled by retribution of the vile abomination of his reign. So they're like, right, you were horrible to us, here, eat your kids. Sacrificing those linked to his ancestry. So again, you know, they're basically destroying his bloodline, except for Nictimus. I'm assuming he managed to survive this part of it. Like lambs to the slaughter, they are bound, awaiting their new fate. No, lovely. Then it goes, feed, feed, feed them to the wolf. Feed, feed, feed them to the wolf. Feed his heirs to the wolf. Dispense the sinners to the wolf. Throw the wicked to the wolf. Feed the heathens to the wolf. Feed them all. And then back into the chorus. At the dusk of the setting sun, crimson skies now fall. The curse of the moon that is full, where shadows lurk no more. Arcadia beckons them all. Now they bow to none. A new beast of the night has been born at the dusk of the setting sun. And that's that. So, you know, I said this in the last song. You know, when people write songs which have stories behind them, you know, whether they're based in folklore, mythology and stuff like that, in order to write a song like this, to be able to fit a story into lyrics, to make it coherent, to make it make sense, and get all of the necessary details in there, is something that will always really impress me. You know, because it must take a long time to be able to write something like that, to make it song-worthy, if you will. Because, you know, it's, I won't say it's easy to sit and write a story. You know, you can sit and write a story, fair enough. But to be able to condense a story into a song, to make it song-worthy, like, you know, rhyme and whatnot, as you might do, it really impresses me. You know, I think it's a very brilliant... It's a brilliant thing to be able to do, you know. I mean, I've written songs in the past, and, you know, I've based them on certain things, but I've never been able to necessarily fit a story like this into it. I mean, I wrote a song called Noxious when I was in Repulsive Vision, and that song actually is on their first album, Noxious, and it's about the gas chambers in Nazi Germany. And whilst I managed to get in details of, you know, what happened, that sort of thing, it doesn't necessarily contain a story per se. It just contains details, if you will. You know, sort of details and feelings rather than actually telling a story. You know, if you check out the Repulsive Vision Noxious song, if you can find the lyrics for it and read through it, you know, you'll understand what I mean. I'm not saying you should, but, you know, it'd be cool if you did, because, you know, it'd be cool for the band, and, you know, you'd be able to see some of my songwriting ability. But anyway, you know, as I said, you know, being able to fit a story into a song, it really impresses me. It always has done. And, you know, I've said many, many times, I like it when bands tell stories. And like I said at the beginning, I think this might be the banished king that the Atlanteans were looking for from the first track that we looked at, you know, the Lands of Winter or Lands of Snow. I can't remember exactly what it was called. But, you know, it said in that song, you know, they were going out in search of a tyrant king who had been banished. And by the sounds of this, he is a tyrant king. He is the ruler of Arcadia, I believe. Yeah. And, you know, so is this the person that they're looking for? And, you know, now they've come across him, and he turns out to be this really, really horrible wolf man who's eaten his own children because he dared to piss off Zeus. So whether this is a continuation of the story, I'm not entirely sure. Because, I mean, the first album was pretty much a concept album telling an entire story over the 8 or 10 tracks, however many there were on the album. So I'm assuming they're going to be doing the same with this one. So whether this directly feeds from the previous song, I don't know. This could be a chapter much later in the story, for all I know. You know, the first track that I looked at could be the first track off the album. For all I know, this could be like track 7 or 8. You know, this might have come at there might be more leading up to this point. I don't know. But, you know, Ghosts of Atlantis have never disappointed me with their music. I've loved every single thing that they've put out. So yeah, you know, I expected it to be great, and I wasn't disappointed. And you know, I'm really looking forward to when that album comes out. I'm very, very excited for it. Because you can bet I'll be talking about that once that comes out, or once I get my hands on it. But yeah, I don't know what else I can say about that, because I've pretty much covered all bases before and after the song so far. So yeah, we'll leave that as it is. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and maybe even subscribe, because you know, it really would help me out. You know, it doesn't cost you anything. It takes a fraction of a second, you know, and it really does help the channel out, you know, because at the moment, I think only 9.5% of people watching my videos are actually subscribed. And, you know, the 90-odd% that aren't subscribed, you know, it's kind of burying my channel. You know, I'm putting time and effort into making these videos, putting the videos onto YouTube, and they're just sort of disappearing. You know, because, you know, no one's putting likes on them, and yeah, it's kind of stressful, because, you know, I'm putting out videos and, you know, 3-4 months later, someone's going, oh, I see you did a video to this song that I asked you to look at. And it's like, oh, yeah, I did that 3-4 months ago. And they're like, oh, I've only just found it. You know, because they're just sort of getting buried, and it's kind of annoying, really. You know, so if you could like and subscribe, you know, it really would help me out. You know, like I said, it doesn't cost you anything. But yeah, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.